the stairs. We tore all the carpet off, tore all the pad off, took all the nails and staples out. Thankfully, they didn't glue anything down. But what we've run into now is the tread, which is the horizontal part that you actually step on, hangs over the risers. Risers are the vertical ones. Horizontal, vertical, step, hold it up. So we've got this gap in here, this lip. We could fill this up and try to clean this up, but this is crummy wood, so you don't want to do that. So what we decided to do is we got these planks of pine. It's already primed. It's just a 1x8. It fits exactly perfect for our stairs. Your stairs may be different, but I think it's probably standard, so it might be about the same. And that fits perfect. I cut it to there. I notched out just a little bit because our existing trim hangs over. I'm gonna caulk and putty that so it's gonna hide it. I put some little blocks behind here so that the bottom doesn't kick in, so they'll sit tight. I'm gonna come back and just tack it in. And then we can put the flooring plank on top and lather this bullnose molding. And then we'll come back and cut a little strip to fill that in. Step's done. So just measure this. We'll say what we got. Up to this edge, we're about 37 and 7/16. So I will go cut the bullnose and come back. So, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this bullnose. I already put the rail on it. This rail you actually take off, and you'll attach this to the stairs, and then you'll clip the bullnose into that. You'll screw this down to the stairs. I just already attached it here so that everything's cut and it's all cut the same and we're good to go. Usually the ends of these get kind of nicked up in transit, so the first thing I'm going to do is trim off the cracked part. I have more than enough for 2 stairs in each piece. I'm going to trim this off, then I'm going to cut it to length. Drop this in my bucket. Oh, here's a good tip. Get a Home Depot or a Lowe's bucket, put it at the end of your saw, put all your little bits in there so that you don't litter up the yard or the garage or wherever you're at. And cut very slow. It's best if you get a fine tooth blade or a trim blade or a blade specifically for laminate because they have smaller blades. The teeth are closer together. They don't chunk up stuff as bad. All right, so we'll check. And this little lip right here, that hangs over the front of the riser right here. So I'm catching that on that. Make sure that it's nice and snug. So that catches on there, and there we go. Next thing I'm gonna do is I will use this, since it's already cut and it's cut the exact same length. I don't have to measure it again and try to remember numbers. I will just take this piece, I will lay it on top of the plank, mark it, and cut it, and I'm already measuring. All right, y'all. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I cut my first plank to size, to length. You can see I don't have enough space here to put a whole other plank, so we're gonna have to rip one. So we need to know how wide we gotta do it. So this is the way I've been doing this. I take my bullnose, put it right on the edge where it's gonna go. So that's the place it's gonna go. I'll show you again this over this piece here, this little skinny bit, that overlaps the tread. This is about 1/2 inch. You gotta have 1/2 inch to go. The manufacturer recommends about 3/8 of an inch gap between this part and the start of your plank. So really that only leaves you just a little bit. So the way I've been doing this is I put this piece on, I slide this all the way tight, snug in here. So this inside here, this is snug all the way up against it. And this is what I do next, is I measure from here, the live edge, not including the little piece that's going to lock, so the actual finished surface to here. And so here we've got 2 5/8. Here we've got 2 3/8. And you will find that in your house, that nothing is square. It doesn't match up. What I've been doing on most of them is I will, since I did this tight, I will measure this and then I will subtract 1/4 of an inch. So if this is about 2 3/4, about 2 1/4. So I'll subtract 1/4 inch. So if I did this at 2 inches, remember I've got 1/2 inch overlap. If I do this at 2 inches, I've still got 1/4 inch in here that we can play with. And so this one is 2 5/8. Ooh, gotta do some math there. So 2 1/4 and 2 5/8. This one's really crooked. So if I did this at 2, I am beyond my 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna have to cheat. So since this is the one I'm the most concerned about, because in my mind, putting it tight in here, they do that because they allow for an expansion. When the humidity changes with the seasons, wood swells and contracts. Over a whole floor, it might be a lot, but in here, I just don't think it's gonna expand more than 1/4 inch. So I want to make sure my long side is covered in here. I don't want to have a gap here. So I'm going to say, if this is 2 5/8, I'm going to come back 1/4. So that'll take me back to what's 5/8 minus 1/4. That's 4 8, 2 1/8. So I'll go probably 2 1/8, probably 2 1/8, 2 3/16. And I'm going to rip this piece right here, and I'll put that in, and then we'll go from there. All right, I redid my math, so I've got to do this about 2 1/4 to make sure that I don't have any gaps. It's gonna be snug on one side, but I can cheat a little bit. So, gonna set my rail to 2 1/4. And then cut her off. I got this little short piece cut, a little skinny piece. Put it in here, and when you're doing the floor, you can just put it in here and you snap it, go down, because there's the rest of the floor holding it. But here, you just got this little goofy thing. So here's the tip. The way it works for me is I just get it on there, line it up. This one's off a little bit because our stairs are really crooked, so ignore that part. But I just take it and I just go chunk, and you just kind of work it in how it works in. And it works better than this, but now that I'm showing it on the video, it's not working really well. I'll turn it upside down, kind of press it in, get it in there, and then just kind of work on it until it gets seated. Oh, there you go. You can hear it when it snaps. And now you got one thick board. Slide that back in. Let's see, we're off just a little bit. And attach that to this. And then like I said, I'll come back and glue everything down. And there we go. So since this is 2 pieces, I put a little bit of glue back here at the back just to make sure I got this end piece. And then I'm gonna do more glue. More glue. All right. Put this down. Put it back in place. Get your nose mold so that you make sure that you're not gapping. Depending on how you cut it, most of them, I cut them pretty tight so I can just scoot it all the way back. Some of them, there's some wiggly stuff, but you just scoot it all the way back and then just press it down. Now these rails have pre-drilled holes, but sometimes they're just not where you want them to be. So you gotta make your own. And it's just plastic, so you can drill right through it, no problem. All right, got those down. Now I'm gonna grab this guy and snap it in. I've been putting a little silicone right here to help it stick. Let's seal it up. That's added on. Now this is a leftover from a different project, so it's got a big, ugly hole on it. So just kind of. And then your mileage may vary. Figure out how much you want when you do it. This is probably a little bit too much. Now, you gotta just get that set. And then if you're lucky, you can just go right along and it snaps in. And then you're good to go. All right, working on gluing everything as I go down. Finished gluing the treads down, screwed the rails in for the nose molding, put a little bit of silicone adhesive to glue those down, and now I'm doing the landing. I had already cut everything and made sure it all fit. I'm gonna go back, I'm just gonna glue down the end boards because the rest of it's like a little floor. So it's just like the rest of the floor, it's a floating floor. I don't see the need to glue all the middle pieces down because they lock down, but I'm gonna glue the furthest one and the nearest one to the edge just to keep everything secure. So I'm just using liquid nails and hopefully I have enough in here for this little bit. I'm just gonna glue, squishy squish.